Nobody tells you this when you become a parent. You will spend years wondering if you are doing it right. You will lie awake at night replaying conversations, second-guessing your tone, asking yourself if you said the wrong thing or reacted the wrong way. And in the middle of all that self-doubt, nobody hands you a measure. No one shows you a clear, honest signal that tells you your child feels safe with you. Not safe as in fed and housed and protected from physical danger. Safe in the deeper way, the way that shapes who they become. Safe enough to fall apart. Safe enough to tell the truth. Safe enough to be exactly who they are, without performing, without hiding, without fear. That kind of safety is built quietly. In ordinary moments, you probably did not even notice. And it shows up, not in grand gestures, but in small, specific behaviors your child does when they are around you. Today, we are going to look at 8 of those signs. They are grounded in attachment research, child psychology, and neuroscience. And if you recognize yourself in most of them, I want you to hold on to that, because you may be doing better than you think. Before we get into the signs, one thing worth saying: this is not a scorecard. This is not a test you pass or fail. It is a mirror. And sometimes the most useful thing a mirror can do is show you something good that you had stopped believing was there. Sign 1. They come to you when they are hurt, not just when they are happy. Pay attention to when your child seeks you out. A lot of children will find their parents for celebrations. A good grade, a funny story, something exciting that happened at school. But the real signal is not where they go when life is good. It is where they go when life is not. When they are hurt, when something embarrassing happened, when they failed at something, when a friend said something cruel, when they are scared and do not fully understand why. If your child brings those moments to you, that is not a small thing. That is the deepest signal that psychological safety exists between you. Research context. John Bowlby's attachment theory, the foundation of modern child psychology, identifies this behavior as the hallmark of a secure attachment bond. Children with secure attachment use their caregiver as a safe haven under stress. They approach rather than withdraw when distressed. The reason this matters is not just emotional. Studies show that children who feel safe bringing their pain to a parent develop stronger emotional regulation, higher resilience, and significantly lower rates of anxiety in adolescence and adulthood. So if your child cries in front of you, if they come to your room after a bad dream, if they tell you about the fight they had at school before they tell their friends, that is evidence. Evidence that you are the place they trust most when the world gets hard. Sign 2, they can say no to you without fear. This one surprises a lot of parents. Because we are conditioned to think that a child who pushes back, disagrees, or says no to us is being difficult. But here is what the research actually says. A child who can disagree with you is a child who feels safe enough to have a self. Children who grow up in emotionally unsafe environments learn very early to suppress their own preferences, opinions, and boundaries. They say yes because saying no feels dangerous. They agree because disagreeing might cost them love. That is not respect. That is fear wearing the mask of obedience. Research context. Psychological safety in child development, studied extensively by developmental psychologists, including Diana Baumrind, shows that children raised with authoritative warmth, not authoritarian control, develop stronger identity formation, higher self-esteem, and healthier boundary setting in adult relationships. So when your teenager rolls their eyes and says, "I don't agree with you on that," and you stay calm and you listen, and the relationship survives that moment, that is safety. That is exactly what it looks like. Sign 3. They fall apart in front of you, but recover faster because of it. There is a concept in developmental neuroscience called co-regulation, and it may be one of the most important things to understand as a parent. The idea is this: a child's nervous system does not fully regulate itself on its own. Not in early childhood, not in adolescence, and honestly, not even in early adulthood. It learns to regulate by borrowing stability from a calm, safe adult nervous system nearby. Research context. Dr. Stephen Porges' polyvagal theory explains that the human nervous system is constantly scanning the environment for safety signals. When a child is distressed and a parent responds with calm, warm, regulated presence, the child's own nervous system begins to settle. This is co-regulation. It is not a metaphor. It is a biological process. What this means practically: when your child completely breaks down in front of you, screaming, sobbing, inconsolable, and you stay present, stay calm, stay connected, their nervous system is actually learning from yours. The breakdown happens faster. The recovery happens faster, not because you fixed the problem, but because your presence told their body, you are safe. You can come back from this. If your child can fall apart in front of you and come back, that is not weakness. That is evidence of one of the strongest bonds a parent and child can have. Sign 4. They bring you their embarrassing moments, not just their wins. Think about who you share your failures with. Most adults, most people of any age, only share failures with the people they trust absolutely. The ones where they are certain they will not be judged, mocked, or made to feel worse than they already do. Now think about your child. Do they tell you when they said something stupid in front of their class? When they got rejected? When they made a mistake they are ashamed of? If they do, that is one of the rarest and most precious signs of psychological safety there is. Research context. Researcher Brené Brown's work on shame resilience consistently shows that shame, the fear of being unworthy of connection, loses its power when it is brought into relationship with a safe person. Children who can share their embarrassments and failures with a parent without being met with criticism or disappointment develop significantly stronger shame resilience, emotional honesty, and self-compassion. The parent who creates this does not do it by being perfect. They do it by being consistently non-reactive when their child reveals something imperfect. They do it by responding to "I really messed up" with something like, "Tell me what happened," not "How could you," not "I told you so," just "Tell me what happened. I am here, you are safe." Sign 5, they argue with you. This is the most counterintuitive sign on this list, and it is also one of the most important. A child who never argues with their parent is not necessarily a well-adjusted child. They may simply be a child who has learned that conflict with their parent is unsafe. Silence and compliance in children is not always peace. Sometimes it is fear with good manners. When a child argues with you, when they push back on a rule, challenge your reasoning, express frustration loudly, they are doing something psychologically significant. They are trusting that the relationship is strong enough to survive their honesty. Research context. Child development research from psychologist Lawrence Kohlberg on moral development, and later work by Judith Smetana on parent-child conflict, consistently shows that healthy argumentative behavior in children, particularly in adolescence, is associated with higher autonomy, stronger moral reasoning, and more secure identity formation. Children who feel safe disagreeing with parents internalize values more deeply than children who comply out of fear. The parent's job in those moments is not to win the argument. It is to stay in the conversation. To model that conflict does not destroy love. Every argument you survive together, calmly, honestly, with the relationship still intact at the end, is a deposit into the account of their emotional safety. Sign 6. Their body relaxes when you enter the room. This one is subtle. You have to pay close attention to notice it. Watch your child's body when you walk in after they have been stressed, scared, or upset. Do their shoulders drop slightly? Does their breathing slow? Do they lean toward you even unconsciously? That physical shift is not nothing. That is the nervous system recognizing safety. Research context. Dr. Porges' polyvagal theory identifies what he calls neuroception, the nervous system's automatic, subconscious scanning for safety or threat in the environment. A child whose parent has consistently been a source of calm, warmth, and predictability develops a neuroceptive association. This person equals safety. The body responds before the mind even processes the thought. This response is built over thousands of ordinary moments. Every time you came home and your energy was steady rather than explosive. Every time you sat beside them without needing to fix anything. Every time your presence made the room feel less dangerous rather than more. Children who grow up with this physical safety signal, this body-level trust in a parent, carry it with them into adulthood. It becomes their baseline for what safe relationships feel like. You are not just calming your child in this moment. You are teaching their nervous system what safety feels like for the rest of their life. Sign 7, they pull away from you and then come back. Every parent who has raised a teenager knows this feeling. Your child, who once wanted to be near you constantly, suddenly wants nothing to do with you. They close their door. They speak in single words. They seem to exist in a parallel world that you are no longer invited into. And it feels like loss, like something broke. But here is what that pulling away often actually means. Research context. Bowlby's concept of the secure base, expanded by Mary Ainsworth's strange situation studies, shows that securely attached children are actually more willing to explore independently, separate from the parent, and take emotional risks. This is because they have an internalized sense that the parent is there if needed. The pulling away is not rejection. It is the behavior of a child confident enough in your bond to test their own independence. The signal is not the pulling away. The signal is the coming back. When they come back, after a hard week, after a conflict, after the silence, and they sit near you or text you something small, or suddenly want to watch something together, that is them choosing you again after everything. A child who keeps coming back to a parent after pulling away is a child who, somewhere in their nervous system, still knows where home is. Sign 8. They tell you things they have never told anyone else. This is the final sign, and in many ways, the deepest one. At some point, maybe it happened quietly, maybe you barely noticed, your child told you something they had never said out loud before. A fear, a secret, a question they were ashamed of, a feeling they did not have words for until they found themselves saying it to you. That moment was not an accident. It was the result of every small choice you made to stay present, stay non-reactive, stay available. It was the cumulative effect of all the ordinary moments where your child tested the waters, shared something small, waited to see what you would do, and found that you were safe. Research context. Developmental psychologist Gail Heyman's research on children's honesty with parents shows that children are more likely to share truthful, vulnerable information with parents they perceive as approachable, defined not by permissiveness, but by emotional consistency and low reactivity. The parent who responds calmly to small disclosures trains the child's brain that big disclosures are also safe. Every time you did not overreact to something minor, you taught them that you could handle something major. Every time you said, "I'm glad you told me," instead of "how could you," you opened the door wider. And one day, they walked through it completely. That trust, that specific, fragile, irreplaceable trust, is the highest form of safety a child can offer a parent. 8 signs. They come to you when they are hurting. They say no without fear. They fall apart and recover. They share their embarrassments. They argue with you. Their body relaxes when you enter the room. They come back after pulling away. And sometimes they tell you the things nobody else knows. If even a few of those landed, if you recognized your child in those descriptions, I want you to hear this clearly. You are not a perfect parent. Nobody is, but you have built something real. Psychological safety does not come from having all the right answers. It does not come from never losing your temper, never saying the wrong thing, never getting it wrong. It comes from being consistently, reliably present, from being the kind of person your child returns to, not because they have to, but because something in them knows you are safe. And here is the thing about that kind of safety. It does not just protect them in childhood. It travels with them. It shapes who they choose to love, how they handle pain, whether they believe they are worthy of being known, whether they can ask for help when they need it most. The safety you are building right now in the ordinary, imperfect, exhausting dailiness of parenting is the most lasting thing you will ever give them. Not a perfect childhood, just a safe one. That is enough. That has always been enough. Tell me in the comments, which sign stopped you? Which one made you think of a specific moment with your child? Because this channel exists for the moments nobody talks about honestly. The weight of parenting, the fear of getting it wrong, and the quiet evidence that sometimes you are getting it more right than you know. Subscribe if that is the kind of conversation you want more of. Because your children are watching you, and most of the time, they like what they see.